By the time he was 34, he had buried two people he shouldn't have buried yet, had a diagnosis that rearranged everything, had watched something he built over years come apart in months, had been through the kind of thing that people reference carefully, obliquely, with phrases like, "I heard you had a hard time." He had not had a hard time. He had had several hard times, back to back, with not enough space between them to finish processing one before the next arrived. And he had continued, not gracefully, not without cost, but continued. There is a specific kind of person who has been through too much, not dramatically, not in a way that makes them the center of any room, just quietly, persistently, over years, more has happened to them than the ordinary allocation. They don't talk about it constantly. In fact, they often don't talk about it at all, because somewhere along the way they learned that talking about it makes people uncomfortable, that there's a limit to how much other people can hold, that the full inventory, if presented, tends to produce a look, a specific look of not knowing what to say. So they learn to present an edited version, a manageable amount, and carry the rest alone. Psychologists who study cumulative trauma describe something called the accumulation effect. Not one large event, but many events over time, each individually survivable. The problem is the accumulation. The nervous system processes each event, but processing takes time and resources, and when the next thing arrives before the processing is complete, it gets stacked, and then the next thing, and the next, until there is a person walking around who is, on the surface, functioning, and underneath, carrying years of unprocessed weight, looking fine, being not fine in a way that is so old it has become structural. The body adapts. It learns to carry the weight by redistributing it, by building a kind of internal architecture specifically designed to hold more than it should. The person becomes in certain ways extraordinary. Their threshold is higher. Their capacity for difficulty is larger. They can sit with pain, their own and others, with a steadiness that most people don't have. Because they have been there before, many times. They know the terrain. Here is the cost. The same architecture that holds the weight also holds the person at a slight distance from their own life, because the weight requires management, and management requires attention, and attention directed toward management is attention not available for simply being present. They are often the most capable person in a crisis and the most lost in ordinary peace. Ordinary peace doesn't require their skills. Ordinary peace just requires being there. And being there without something to manage, without weight to carry, feels unfamiliar, feels almost suspicious, like a calm that means something is coming. There is something else worth saying. People who have been through too much often develop a specific relationship with other people's suffering. They recognize it, not always the details, but the shape, the particular way someone holds themselves when they're carrying something, the specific quality of a practiced fine. And they can sit with people in that place without flinching, without needing it to resolve quickly, without offering the hollow reassurances that people offer when suffering makes them uncomfortable. This is not nothing. This, for the people on the receiving end of it, sometimes everything. But here is what this pattern often cannot see. The things that happened, they are not the final definition. They are part of the definition. They shaped the person, but they did not complete them. The shaping is not the same as the being, and the being, the person underneath the accumulation, under the architecture, under the years of carrying, is not the sum of what was done to them. If this was about you, You are not your history. You are not the things that happened. You are the person who happened to be there when they did, and who is still here. The still here is not small. It is, in fact, the main thing. The evidence that whatever came, came and passed, and you continued. Not undamaged, but continuing, which is what surviving actually looks like. Not triumph, just the next morning, and the morning after that, and this one. There is something specific about the way people who have been through too much move through the world. They are often very quiet about it, not because they're ashamed, because they've learned that most people can hold a certain amount of someone else's history, and beyond that amount, the dynamic changes. They become the heavy one, the complicated one, the one whose presence requires something. So they learn to travel light in company, to bring only what's appropriate to the setting, to laugh at the right moments and not mention the other things. And they get very good at this. So good that people who love them are sometimes surprised, years in, to learn what was actually there. The things they never mentioned, the years they navigated alone, the inventory of what was carried and what it cost and what it left behind. The surprise is not a failure of the relationship. It is the evidence of how well the carrying was done. But carrying alone has its own cost, and one of the things that can change, slowly, imperfectly, not all at once, is the decision about what to put down. Not everything, but something, into the hands of someone who is asking to hold it. That, too, is what surviving can look like.